Warrior Cats, Leopardstar's Honor by Erin Hunter, Prologue. The bone hill glowed beneath the moon. The heaped carcasses, stripped of flesh, reflected its clean white light. For them, the worst was over now. Leopardstar pressed back a shiver. The leaf-bared chill reminded her of her own bones jutting beneath her pelt. It felt like it had been a long time since the prey-rich moons of Greenleaf. She dared not lift her gaze to Silverpelt, nor did she risk catching any of her clanmates' eyes. They had no choice but to watch. RiverClan was part of TigerClan now, and outnumbered in this clearing by former ShadowClan cats. Leopardstar had made a deal with the fierce Tom. They must follow TigerStar's rules. Stonefur stood in front of the Dark Warrior, while Featherpaw and Stormpaw huddled behind him, their eyes wide with fear. The apprentices had been imprisoned by TigerStar for being the kits of a ThunderClan Tom and a RiverClan Queen. As Stonefur flattened his ears against his head, TigerStar narrowed his eyes to slits. "I will give you a chance to show your loyalty to TigerClan," the Dark Warrior told him. "Kill these two half-clan apprentices." Leopardstar's blood ran cold. Surely TigerStar only meant to banish them. How could he order a warrior to kill his own clanmates? And they were so young. It made no sense. Stonefur was half-clan too. Leopardstar felt dread rising in her chest and throat like hot, scalding bile. Was this really what StarClan wanted? Was this the only way for the clans to become strong? Stonefur was battered and starved from his confinement, but he turned his gaze to Leopardstar. His eyes seemed to bore right through her. "I take orders from you," he growled darkly. "You must know this is wrong. What do you want me to do?" For a moment, Leopardstar could only stare at her deputy. What do you want me to do? What could she say? She risked a glance at TigerStar and was chilled by the hatred in his eyes. Not only for Stonefur, but for her. If I say no, she wondered, how much longer will I be alive to protect my clan? "These are difficult times," she replied finally, struggling to keep her voice steady. What would TigerStar say? She felt sick. As we fight for survival, we must be able to count on every one of our clanmates. There is no room for divided loyalties. Do as TigerStar tells you. StarClan, forgive me. Stonefur held her gaze for a moment, and she could see that something had changed inside him. Whereas he had turned to her with hope, he now looked deeply disappointed. He took in a deep breath and turned to face the apprentices, who cowered in fear. After what seemed like an eternity, Stonefur gave a tiny nod at the apprentices and turned back to look at the TigerClan leader. "You'll have to kill me first, TigerStar." Leopardstar clenched her teeth to keep from wailing in despair. "Stonefur, don't do this." TigerStar glared at the blue-gray Tom, his tail twitching with menace. He signaled to his accomplice, Darkstripe. "Kill him." Leopardstar's breath caught in her throat. She had to stop this, but she hesitated. If she did, she would seem weak. They'd be back where they started, at the mercy of the river and the forest and the other clans. She had no choice but to follow through. And yet the words ached to be spoken. "Stop this now." She pressed them back. She could not back down. She tried not to flinch, horror shrilling through every hair on her pelt, as Darkstripe leaped at Stonefur. Though battered and exhausted, Stonefur managed to haul his attacker to the ground and dig his claws into the warrior's throat. Pride seemed to move deep inside her as she watched her deputy fight fiercely against the cruel tabby. "Kill him!" Leopardstar found herself willing Stonefur on, and she froze. She couldn't think like that. This had to happen. The halfling cats must die. Once this was over, TigerStar's vision was for a single clan that united all the warriors of the forest could prevail. It was the only way RiverClan could survive the floods and fires that had battered them like whirling claws over and over again, keeping them hungry and leaf-bare, and the two-legged incursions that made them vulnerable every green leaf. This was the only way forward. It was the choice she had made when she'd agreed RiverClan and ShadowClan should join together to become TigerClan. Every instinct within her was trying to pull her gaze away from the fight, but she told herself that the least she owed her deputy was to watch the sacrifice he was making for the good of RiverClan. "Finish it!" TigerStar flicked his ears to Blackfoot, and his deputy shot forward and dragged Stonefur off Darkstripe. Together the vicious warriors turned on the RiverClan deputy, and as Darkstripe held him down, Blackfoot scored his claws across Stonefur's throat. Stonefur struggled, then fell still, his blood staining the ground. Around the clearing, TigerStar's warriors yelled jubilantly. Leopardstar's clanmates eyed each other fearfully before joining in, their calls barely audible at first, but soon rising to match the others. Only Featherpaw and Stormpaw remained silent. Leopardstar was aware of Featherpaw's horrified gaze lifting from Stonefur's body and fixing on her like a judgment. She could not meet it, but looked across the clearing at the heavy bulrushes swaying darkly beneath the moon. She hardly heard Tigerstar's announcing that Featherpaw and Stormpaw would not die today, but would return to their prison, and she stood stiff and silent as Tigerclaw melted away, heading back to the camp. Only when the clearing had emptied did her numbness begin to ease. In its place, doubt crawled beneath her pelt. The scent of Stonefur's blood flooded her mouth, bathing her tongue with its sour tang. She padded reluctantly forward and stopped beside his body. Mudfur had asked her whether joining TigerClan was the right thing to do. There had always been 4 clans in the forest. Why should that change? She told him they needed to be stronger, to be the strongest, and he'd shaken his head in disappointment. There are things more important than being strong. His words rang in her head as she leaned down and touched her nose to Stonefur's cold and matted pelt. How did I get here? She hadn't always been this heartless. Even a few moons ago, she would have defended Stonefur with her life. The thought pricked her heart like a thorn. Every choice she'd made in her life had brought her closer to this moment. Had she led RiverClan along the wrong path? Leopardstar lifted her head. She couldn't lose her nerve now. Mudfur was old. He'd been a warrior under Crookedstar and then a medicine cat. He'd been born in a different time when all RiverClan had to do was dip a paw into the river and scoop out a fish. He didn't understand that the forest had changed, that life was harder, that there were now only difficult choices to be made. Leopardstar squared her shoulders against the cold as the clouds began to trail across Silverpelt. TigerClan would make her warriors strong. They would never again have to give up territory. They would never go to their nest with empty bellies. Other cats would fear them. If her clanmates couldn't be strong enough to face the future she had planned, she would have to be strong for them. It was the only way to keep them safe.